So the first thing we need to do is make sure you understand some terminology and notation. If you see this where it says if g of x equals negative 4, first of all, what does if g of negative 4 equals 0? What does g of negative 4 mean? If you see that in a problem or on a paper, what is that telling you to do? X equals negative 4. That means you substitute in a negative 4 for all the x's in that function. Or if it's a graph, you go to x equals negative 4 and see what the value of the function is. So when g of negative 4 is equal to 0, what does that mean? Ayush? You were just touching.
Wait, what was the question?
If g of negative 4 is equal to 0, what does that mean? So when in the function, when x is negative 4, y is 0. What does that mean?
The equation is equal to 0.
It's equal to 0, but what does that mean? What? It means it's a factor. Yes, it does mean that. What else does it mean? I heard you say something over here, but I don't know what you said. You said the factors? Same as Ahabar said. Where is it on the graph?
It's on the x-intercept.
It's an x-intercept. I didn't hear you. So make these other people be quiet so I can hear you. So then, if negative 4 equals 0 is an x-intercept, then when we write this as a factor, we write x plus 4. X plus 4 is a factor if g of negative 4 equals 0. Because this means the point negative 4, 0, right? Which means that x is equal to negative 4. So when we write that as a factor, we have to set it equal to 0. So we have to add the 4 to the other side to get x plus 4 equals 0. That's in the form of a factor. This is in the form of the factor. This is in the form of a root or a 0 or a solution.
Does it become positive when you move it to the other side?
If it's negative on the right, it becomes positive when you move it. If it's
positive, it becomes negative?
Yes. So now this next sentence isn't worded the way I would like. So I'm going to fill in the blank the way it goes, but then I'm going to tell you what to write beside it. If we want to divide this fourth degree function by this second degree function, this cannot be done using synthetic division. Now, you don't even know what synthetic division is yet. So what this means is, if you have this format, you must use long division. I'll do it, yes. So if you're dividing by something that is not linear, so we're dividing by a quadratic in this example, you must use long division. We tried making that work and it doesn't work. I just have to give them the time. And the reason is, the reason that it cannot be done using synthetic is because the second polynomial here, which is the divisor, is not in the form x minus h. So it's not in the form of a linear factor. X minus 4, x plus 2, x minus 3. It is not in that form. It has to be in that form in order to do synthetic division. Now, in the next one, if f of 5 equals 3, that means that x is 5. When x is 5, y is 3. That's the point 5, 3.
Wait, what?
If f of 5 is equal to 3, that means that when x is 5, y is 3. When that is true, then if I divide f of x by the factor x minus 5, it will have a remainder of 3. So if we look at okay. All right, I'm going to come back to that in just a second. I want to finish this last blank. If f of negative 4 equals 0, then f of x divided by x plus 4 has a root 0 x-intercept solution factor. All of those words mean the same thing. They are used in a different context. But an x-intercept is a root. It is a solution. It is a factor. It is a 0. All of those mean, where does this graph touch or cross the x-axis? Where does it intercept the x-axis? So all of those words, any of those words could fit in that blank. And this means the graph of the function intersects the x-axis. So some problems, when you read the problem on the test, it will say, find the roots. But you're going to find the x-intercepts. It's going to say, find the zeros. And you're going to find the x-intercepts. It's going to say, find the solutions or the factors. You're going to find the x-intercepts. It may be written in a different format because a factor is written one way where a 0 is written the other way, but every one of those terms means where does it touch across the x-axis. So you need to know that so that when you read problems on the test, you understand the question. Right. So now I'm going to give you an example of number 3 from one of the problems that you worked on your homework. So if we look at this problem this is actually one we did in class, right? Yeah, this is one of the ones that we did in class last time. It has a remainder of negative 8. If I asked you what is f of 3, and this function is f, then you would substitute in 3 for these x's. So that would be 4 times 3 squared plus 8 times 3 minus 5. That's what this means. This means plug in 3. Substitute 3 for all of the x's. 3 squared is 9 times 4 is 36. 8 times 3 is 24. Oh, I should have done a different one. Oh, well. No, this one's not going to match. I should have done one that matches. Okay. This one isn't going to match. This is your home. This is the paper that I'm going to check in a bit. Let me do this one that has the remainder of 21. So I'm the same thing. I'm going to do f of 3, but I'm going to use this one. This is the one from your homework that I'm going to check in a few minutes. So I want 3 cubed minus 2 times 3 squared plus 6 times 3 minus 6. So 3 cubed is 27. 3 squared is 9 times negative 2 is negative 18. Plus 6 times 3 is 18 minus 6. So this is one of the ones that you worked for homework, the one that had a remainder of 21. Okay. So the minus 18 and the plus 18, that's 0. 27 minus 6 is 21, right? So f at 3 is equal to 21. And when we divided by x minus 3, we got a remainder of 21. This will always be true. If you're dividing by a linear factor and you evaluate at that root, the remainder will always equal the function at that value. That's what that statement number 3 says. That the remainder is always equal to the function evaluated at that point. Oh, that rolled off on the floor. Okay? So, okay. So these are the blanks we've already filled in. That's what question number 3 means. Statement number 3 means. Okay, so is it safe to assume now that if you see something like this, f of 3, right here, that you can plug in the 3 and do the math?
Maybe.
In other words, do we need to take time to practice plugging in numbers?
No.
Just one problem. Okay, then we'll do this one with the -4. Okay. All right, so we're going to do this one with -4. So this means substitute in -4. Oh, I left my finger there. Okay, now, so -4 to the 3rd power. We're doing this one. Plus 8 times -4 squared. Plus 11 times -4 minus 20. Plugging in the -4 to that function. I'd rather you didn't, because we have to get you ready for SAT, and SAT does not let you use a calculator on simple math like this. So, 4 to the 3rd.
It's the calculated part. That's the simple part.
I know. So that's why we practice. So that's an 8, yes. I just didn't close my... Okay. 4 times 4 is 16. Times 4 more is 64. When you raise a negative number to an odd degree, is your answer negative or positive?
You have a minus 20 there, miss.
It should be negative because it came from right here. So this is -64. Now, -4 squared is positive 16 times positive 8. 128. You can see it if you write it in the air without writing it down. You can see what you wrote, so you can do it. So then, what is 11 times -4? -44 and -20. Now, you're wasting time. I promise you, if you don't get through these puzzles, you're getting a 0 today. You've got to stop wasting time so we can get finished. Number sense. I have 3 negatives and a positive. I want to add those negatives up and see if they equal the positive. So, -64 plus -44 is -108. Minus another 20 is -128. And positive 128 and -128 is 0. So that's a root, an x-intercept, a factor, a 0, a solution, because the remainder is 0.
Miss, did you get -4 cubed because you have to find -4?
Because you got to plug -4 is what you're given. -4 is what you're given, and you have to plug it in right here to all these x's. We had to stuff -4 into all those places.
Well, no, because she's saying we have to get rid of that.
I asked one question.
Okay, I didn't hear it yet.
If we needed to use a calculator.
Okay, yeah, no.
Is the top one the same?
Yes, but remember.
Like what we're gonna do at the top? Is that the same?
You're doing the same thing. It's not the same answer, but you're doing the same thing. You're just plugging them in.
Plus
Okay.
0x
Everybody have what you need from here?
minus 27.
So, I recorded it. I'll post it again in a bit, or put it back. Okay. Now on this page, stop. On this page, it was designed for you to figure this out on your own, and I don't want you to do that. But I am going to tell you what goes in these blanks, and then I'm just going to show you how to do it. So when we did long division, you had to make sure all the terms were there. In other words, you had to put in 0 for what was missing. So look at this function. Oh, that's not a highlighter. Look at this function right here. What's missing?
Miss, my site doesn't really.
Look on your paper.
Which one?
The one we're taking notes on.
Back. This one?
The x cubed is missing, right? So in this example, the 3 exponent, the cubic exponent is missing. So in its place, we have to put 0x cubed. Now, if you don't do that when you're doing long division, you won't die. But it'll get mixed up, right? Because it won't be all lined up and you'll have trouble. In this one, you don't put the 0 in, it's going to kill you because you're going to miss it no matter what. It will not give you the right answer in any way if you don't put the 0 in there. Okay. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you how to do this. So okay, synthetic division. Synthetic division does not use the variables. You can only do synthetic division when your divisor is in this linear form. X plus 1, X minus 4, X plus 2. That's the only time you can do synthetic division. What we do first is we write down the coefficients. Do you know this term, coefficient?
Yes.
What is the coefficient? It's the number in front of the variable. So what is in front of that x cubed?
1.
A 1. What's in front of the 2x squared? Yeah, that's right. What's in front of the x? -1. And then the last number is -2. So we have just written down the coefficients. No variables. Just the coefficients. Now, you're going to leave some space and draw a line. Then over here, we're going to put a box. A chair, or whatever you want to call it, a box. Now, we are dividing by the factor x plus 1. But the root, the 0, the x-intercept is at x equals what? If the factor is x plus 1, where is the root? Where's the x-intercept? At -1. So if you either can remember it's opposite to the sign, or you can set it equal to 0 and solve. Because you have to subtract it to get at the other side. So -1 goes in this box. Okay, everybody write this on your paper and then stop. I want you to watch my screen while I do this. If you will watch and recognize the pattern, then you'll have this and it's easy and forever. Okay. So we have some steps that we're going to do. The first step is, does everybody have this much written down? This part.
It's already voted.
It's written here. Yeah, but I don't want you to look at the one on the paper. First of all, there's a typo. Second of all, I want you to write it yourself and put what I'm going to do. So I want you to copy on your own paper somewhere. Somewhere on your paper. All right, the first step is bring down the first number. Okay, I'm going to abbreviate number because I'm too close to the edge. First step, bring down the first number. Okay. Now, watch the screen. Everybody watch the screen. You multiply what's in the box times the first term, and you put it in the next column. So negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. You put it in the next column. In long division, you subtract, but in synthetic division, you add. So 2 plus negative 1 is 1. Now we repeat. Negative 1 times that 1 is negative 1. And we write that in the next column.
How did you get a positive?
I didn't. Negative 1 times that 1 is negative 1. And you write that in the next column. And now we add.
Negative 1 and negative 2 is 2.
So negative 1 and negative 1 are equal to negative 2. Now we repeat. Now we multiply the negative 1 times the negative 2. We put it in the next column, which is 2, and we add. So our remainder is 0. This last term is always the remainder.
I like synthetic division.
Yes, I do too. It's fast. A lot less writing. You just can't use it for everything.
I'd rather just do the long division.
So like long division because I can do everything in my head.
I can do this in my head.
Like for you like doing this.
Yes.
What's the other step? Bring down the
The problem right here. Right here. That's what it told us to divide by. So then you take what they tell you to divide by, you solve for the x. That's got a negative 1, so that's what goes in the box.
Wait, then why is 2 up there? Mark.
This is the problem. 1x cubed plus 2x squared minus 1x minus 2. Those are our coefficients.
So you first bring down the 1.
First bring down the 1,
And multiply.
then multiply. Step 2 is multiply
And then
This on the
and put it in the next column.
It's Gary.
put it in.
Gary.
Put it in.
Put it in the next column. Oh, I left off the other. Then add. Then repeat.
I got an extremely great answer.
Steps 2 and 3 until done. All right, those are your steps. Bring down the first number. Multiply and put it in the next column. Add. Multiply and put it in the next column. Add. Multiply and put it in the next column. Add. Till you're done. The last number is always the remainder. Now, let me explain how to get what your answer is. This first, this first row right here was the function x cubed something. It was a third degree function. Then we divided that function by an x. So what is x cubed divided by x? When you divide bases, you do what to the exponents? You subtract. So 3 minus 1 is 2. So this row is x squared.
What? You just tap.
We took a function that was cubic, we divided it by an x, and our result is quadratic. X to the third divided by x is x squared.
Yeah, much right.
Okay. This function right here is x to the third. That's the one we're dividing by. That's that first row. The second row is where we divided by the x. The third row is x squared.
The first thing on there.
Yes, yes. It's the degree of the function. So, for your answer, this one is x squared. So it is 1x squared plus 1x minus 2, and that's your answer. Now, if it's important for pre-cal and calculus that you understand that we just divided a cubic function by x and we got a quadratic function. For right now, if you're having trouble with that, you can just remember that the last thing is your remainder, so that this is your remainder. So then this is your going this direction, so that's your constant, that's your x1, that's your x2. From right to left, you could remember it that way. That's a lot less writing.
That's okay. I have a question for you after you're done with
Okay. All right. Questions? I would very much like to do one more, but I have to go. But you have to have time for your puzzle. I think you better do the puzzle because I need the grade. I don't think you'll. The ones you have to do for homework are not any harder than this first one. Now, let me tell you on your paper. Does everybody have what you need off the screen? On your paper, whatever this is right here is a typo. Whatever this is right here is a typo. It's supposed to be a negative right there, and it's supposed to be a positive right there. So make those corrections on your paper. It's supposed to be x squared plus x minus 2. So that's a typo. All right. The rest of these blanks on this paper we will fill out next class.